Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and every week we take an in depth look at the Villages real estate market. If you watch this show, you'll have a good understanding of where things stand currently in the real estate market here, and you'll also have an idea as to long term trends, whether you're a buyer or a seller. Knowing what prices are doing and what they have been doing recently should be helpful in determining a good price. To that point, if you are a buyer and you're trying to find the best deal possible in the villages, please consider connecting with us. We can show you how you can narrow your search down to the most attractive properties and, based on previous sales and homes going pending, what offer might reasonably be considered. Also, if you're a seller, looking at data with that level of specificity will give you a great deal more confidence in your asking price. A couple of things to note. First, we produce this show every Monday. Make sure you check the date to ensure you're getting the most recent information. Secondly, all of this information is drawn from the multiple listing service, the MLS. It does not include any information from the Village's own internal listing service, the VLS. The Villages is a very unique situation in that we have two entirely separate marketplaces, VLS and MLS. And I believe that currently the VLS has more listings in the South than the MLS. But even if you're looking in the South, I would point you to the fact that as a buyer, you really need to see properties both on MLS and VLS, or you won't be able to see everything for sale. Similarly, if you're a seller, you need to decide on which marketplace to list your property. One final point to note, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And we would appreciate it if you would visit our website, DavidisinFlorida.com. We try to add new content, and you can find information about real estate in the villages and life in the villages there. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at what's happening this week. We start every week by taking a look at the U.S. Treasury 10-year yield. This is the yield that the mortgage rate most closely tracks. It's usually about 3 percentage points higher than this. You can see that rates have generally been rising over the last 2 years or so. It's anybody's guess whether they go higher or lower from here. But with the US borrowing almost $1 trillion every quarter now, it's hard to imagine that interest rates can go down even in an election year. So now let's take a look at what's happening in the villages real estate market. What you see here is a map of Florida, and we're going to gradually zoom in until you can see the villages more clearly. On this map, every dot represents a listing. We have all current active listings on this map. The map shows you every current listing with the size of the dot representing the size of the property and the color of the dot representing its price per square foot. The larger the circle, the larger the home. The brighter the circle, the more expensive per square foot. Keep in mind, this map is not showing you prices, it's showing you the size of the home and the price per square foot. Now let's take a look at a longer term chart of listings, and this is showing us total number of listings in the villages. This week there are 457 active listings, up from 420 last week, and this compares to only 339 active listings the same week a year ago. Currently in the villages, prices range from 144,900, which was originally 174,900, which is a reduction of 17%, to a high of 1,295,000, which house was originally 1,495,000, representing a 13% decrease. It's interesting to note that the 17% decrease is actually not the largest decrease currently on the MLS. That is a property that is currently 159.9, reduced from 199.9, which is a 20% discount. Here we look at all listings and the median listing price per square foot, which this week is $261.42 a foot, up from the $260.26 of last week and higher than the $260.17 of a year ago. But looking at this graph, it seems evident that for the past year, the median listing price here in the villages has gone nowhere. So now that we've taken a look at the villages as a whole, I'm going to show you how I've broken the villages down into 4 separate areas. The map you're looking at here is showing you all active listings on the MLS in the entirety of the villages. The first area is the area that I'm calling the north. This is the area that is south of Highway 42 and north of Highway 466. This is the area that I'm calling the Mid-North. This is everything that is south of 466 and north of 466A. And the Mid-South, which is everything south of 466A and north of 44. And finally, the area that I'm calling the South, which is everything south of 44. Once again, if you're a buyer, I strenuously recommend that you have the ability to see both MLS and VLS properties. Without agents who can show you both, you will not be able to see everything for sale here. So now that you have some sense as to how I've divided the villages, let's take a look and see what the differences are between them. What you see here is the villages as a whole, minimum, median, and maximum size, and the same for price, both for the villages as a whole and for the north, middle south, and south. So, for example, the villages as a whole has 457 active listings, of which 206 are in the north and 64 are in the south. In the north, the largest home for sale currently is 2,998 square feet. In the south, it's 2,654 square feet. In the north, the least expensive home is 145,000. In the south, 250,000. In the middle south, 288,000. We're going to zoom in just a little bit here to give you a better perspective of listings. Once again, all regions is the villages, north, middle, south, and south are as I described. And what you're seeing here is a graph that shows you how many properties are available in each of the regions at each of these price points. Here we're once again looking at all listings in the villages, and what you see here is the size of the homes for sale. All regions, the villages in its entirety, north, middle, south, and south as described. And you can see here how many homes are available in each of these sizes in each of the areas of the villages. Another look at all listings. Here we can see how many properties are available in each of the price segments and color coded by region. So for example, you can see how many homes are available in the most active price segment, the $300,000 to $400,000 range, in the mid-north, the mid-south, the north, and the south. This is an interesting graph, and this one is broken down by area. You can see how many homes are available in each of the size buckets. The 1,100 to 1,200 square foot home is by far the most active sized home here. Well, now we come to an absolutely shocking graph that's probably going to be this week's thumbnail, which is a visual description of how many new listings and how many homes went pending over the last week. The red line shows us new listings and the black line shows us homes going pending. I don't know if we've seen such a significant divergence between new listings and pending since we started doing this so almost 2 years ago. But to give you some perspective, last year the new listings rose from 32 to 37, and pending home sales rose from 39 to 54. This year, new listings have risen from 53 to 68, and the number of homes going pending has fallen from 34 to 31. And this graph should give everybody pause. This is showing us the difference between new listings and homes going pending. And we are by far at the worst number that I've seen since I've been in the villages. We are at a negative 37 this week. You can see that we really had never gotten below a negative 25 or so before. And once again, this is representing far more new listings than homes going pending. I will point out that there were about 70 new listings over the last week. So let's take a closer look at the homes that went pending last week. This is the median price per square foot that they went pending at. The numbers you see are actual data points, whereas the graph is showing you a 4-week average. Last week, homes went pending at a 258.62 median price per square foot, improved from the 253.52 of the week before, and improved from the 254.58 of a year ago. But this is the kicker. This is what price change from the original listing price was in effect for the homes that went pending last week. And they saw a median price reduction of 7.65%, far worse than the 5.61% reduction that homes went pending at for the previous week, and significantly worse than the 5.47% reduction that sellers had to offer buyers a year ago. But no signs of distress in the pending per square foot category. This is the median price that homes went pending at last week, 258.62 a foot, up from 253.52 over the week before, and higher than the 254.58 of a year ago. Now let's look at sales, which did hold up last week. Once again, these are homes that closed last week. They numbered 52, up from 42 the week before. Very much improved from the 29 homes that closed the same week a year ago. Homes that closed ranged in price from $143,000 to $850,000. And here we look once more at the homes that closed last week. This is the price realized, median price per square foot, 258 a foot, up nicely from the 245 that was in effect the week before, and nicely higher than the 248 that was in effect the same week a year ago. So here we take a look at all listings once again, and here we're looking at what percentage of listings have decreased their asking price from the original list price. 50.33% have, compared to 54% who had last week, and compared to 56.5% who had done so the same week a year ago. Even though this does look encouraging, it is worth pointing out that 70 properties entered the market last week, so those not having a price reduction will certainly make this measurement seem to be improving. And here we look at what the reduction actually was. The median reduction for all listings on the MLS currently is a reduction of 4.7% from the original listing price, worse than the 4.68% that was being offered last week, but slightly improved from the 4.78 that was being offered by sellers a year ago. It's hard to believe that this flood of new supply is not going to cause sellers to reevaluate their asking prices. That is this week's look at the Villages real estate market. If you're a buyer and you're trying to find a good deal in the Villages, or you're a seller and you're trying to maximize your return in a reasonable period of time, please reach out to me either at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com or at DavidisinFlorida.com. I'll be happy to conduct research for you, answer any questions you have about real estate or life in the Villages itself. I hope to hear from you. Take care.